Hey, are you ready to glow like the queen you are? Then it's time to book with Sunshine's Aesthetics by Michaela Graves, where smooth skin, flawless brows, and customized facials are just the beginning. From full body waxing to lash and brow laminations, Michaela's got the magic touch to keep you looking snatched and stress free. Self care isn't selfish, y'all, it's essential. Call her today or even text 336 529 1666. That's 336 529 1666 and let your skin thank you later. Welcome to Back Porch Confessions, where the sweet tea is strong, the stories are stronger, and no topic is too taboo for the porch. Grab a seat, kick off your shoes, and let's get into the kind of conversations your mama warned you about, but you listen anyway. Hey y'all, welcome to Back Porch Confessions. This is the bonus episode, and as always, if you hear my husband outside mowing the lawn, I swear every time I have to record, the man has to mow. Whatever. I guess that's his happy place, than having to sit in the living room and look at me. As always too, I have two cameras going at one time, so if I look one way or the other, if you are actually watching the video and not just listening, that would be why. I am, trying to pay attention to both cameras. So today's episode is a bonus episode about life after the storm, the truth about post-menopause. A lot of us ladies have been in peri or menopause for a long time, and some of us got thrown into there surgically. Some of us don't even know we're there or don't even know what's happening to our bodies because we're still young and don't have all the information. But that's why I'm trying to get a lot of this out here, because not everybody is treated the same, I would say, in these things when it comes to your doctors and having that conversation with your doctor, be it a male or a female. They're not either one usually very knowledgeable. And the amount of studies done on menopause is quite small compared to what it is for the studies of things that men tend to go through at an older age. So let's see. Today we're going to pull up that chair and we're going to talk about the season that most of us weren't really prepared for, because our mamas didn't talk about it, their mamas didn't talk about it, and their mamas before them didn't talk about it, let alone even really know what all it entailed and what all was involved in peri, post menopause, all the things, all the seasons that we go through. They just didn't know. They just don't know. They didn't talk about it. That all being said, we hear that there's plenty of hot flashes. There's mood swings. Yes, I would absolutely 100% agree with that. We do have a lot of those. And sometimes we don't even know why. Even when we were not in peri or post, the questions that we would have about, gosh, what is wrong with me? Why am I wanting to cry? I know one of my daughters, she's just like, I don't get it. I can tell my monthly is starting to show up, and I just want to cry, and I don't know why. And she's very emotional. So maybe that's a preemptor that she'll skip that when menopause comes. That will be a good thing for her, I think. But anyway, so what comes about for our life after that storm, after the pause storm rolls through our world? What is left for us as a woman? So many things change on so many different levels, and there's this whole group out right now called WDNC, We Do Not Care Club. And I would say most of us would probably belong to that. And she is definitely in our age range and going through these things. And I cannot remember what the lady's name is, but I do follow her. I think she's hilarious. She's very on the point on exactly how most all of us are feeling. And our level of don't care is really high at this stage. You know, the biggest thing for me that nobody really warned me about, and I'd have to say for my own reflection on this, is the empty nest syndrome. Because all of this kind of comes at the same time that our children leave our nest. They leave our sides. They grow up and don't need us as much anymore. And how that actually affects the women and their identity. Not only are we losing our identity in who we are just in general, because we change in so many ways when we go through that storm, then we also have the whole emptiness, the silence that's around us all of a sudden. There's no more teenage boy running through the house needing to have mom to do this or that. There's no daughter coming to your room and just needing to cry or wanting to talk or crawl in bed and watch a movie or whatever. None of that is there anymore. And your get up and go has got up and left. And you're just sitting there wondering with your head spinning going, who am I? My whole world has revolved around my family. My marriage has revolved around my family. Where do I stand now in this world? I'm no longer needed in that way. Where am I needed now? What do I do with myself? So that's an area, I would say, for me that has been one of the toughest. I used to say I wasn't ever going to have empty nest syndrome and I would be fine, but I was completely wrong. Completely wrong, because my identity is my children, or was, and now I'm having to redo that identity. And for some women, that becomes so heavy and so weight-bearing on their souls when they go through the empty nest syndrome, that some just go completely crazy and do some crazy stuff, and others become extremely depressed and hermits in their house. They don't want to talk. They don't want to socialize. They're just very depressed, and they don't know why. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand it, because their whole body and everything is changing at the same time as their whole world as they know it is also changing. So as women, what do we do with that? Because we're never taught what to do with that, because it's not talked about. I'm talking about it, y'all. That's what this back porch is for. We are talking these truths that nobody wants to talk. So today we're breaking it down to a little more of the physical and emotional and spiritual side of post-menopause. What's hard, what's freeing, and how we as women can thrive in this stage of life. Because this stage of life for us is very, very scary, because like I said, and like I've been saying for probably 4 or 5 minutes now, it is scary. We don't know what our identity is anymore. So I'm going to lay a few foundation things to kind of go into some of this and clear up maybe some of the myths in the process. So menopause is when you've had 12 months without a period. So 12 months, there's no spotting, no nothing, just no period for 12 months. That's when the doctors say you're in menopause. Post-menopause then is every year after that. It's not a moment. It's a stage in your life. And at this point, we have been through so many stages. But this one, I would say, hurts the most as a woman, this stage of life, because it is a storm. It is a Category 5 hurricane that whips our emotions all over the place, and we just don't know what to do with them. We just don't understand what is going on. Hormone changes, estrogen drops, our bones break easier, our heart health shifts. We have issues with high blood pressure that we didn't have before. We feel like we're having a heart attack sometimes, and we're not. It's the hormone shifts in our body can be so traumatic to our system, and we just don't know what's hitting us, to be quite frank. Progesterone and testosterone, which women have estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Those also decline. It changes your mood, it changes your libido, and it changes your energy. You're tired. You have no interest in any kind of relations with your spouse, partner, whatever it is that you have. You have zero ability to kind of control your emotions. You could be having a conversation one day about something and have the exact same conversation the next day, and it's going to make you cry, or it's gonna make you mad, or it's gonna leave you confused. And you're confused because you're like, what is going on? Why am I all of a sudden all over the place like this? Like, what is, I don't, it leaves us women so confused. Some of the misconceptions I would say during this time is, some women feel it's the end of their womanhood. It's not. It's not the end of your womanhood. I'm still very much a woman. I'm still very much want to be attractive to my spouse. I still very much want to look pretty, and I want to get to a point where I have two wonderful people I've started following on TikTok. One is Vic and one is Mindy. One is actually from Illinois and one is from Texas, two of my favorite places. But they both have this amazing spirit of owning the fit, which is your outfit of the day. Like taking it on and wearing those bold colors and doing those bold things and accessorizing. I'm not good at accessorizing. I love the idea of it, but I've just never been really good at taking the time to accessorize, unless I'm like really getting dressed up to go somewhere super special. But at this stage in our life, and that's kind of what they're talking about, at this stage in our life, we should be really doing that. Like, get up every day and knock it out of the park. Like, make you feel like the $100 that you want to feel, or $1 million, or whatever, however you want to term that. But do it for you. Do it for you. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be bougie on a budget. That's why there's Marshalls and TJ Maxx's and Walmart's, and you can find stuff at Marketplace. There's people getting rid of stuff all the time. There's no shame in my game. I'll go on there and get something. I got some Prada house slippers one time for like $10. Psst, I love them. Currently, I have on my house slippers that you throw in the microwave that have like lavender and whatever, and you warm them up because my feet were cold. Anyway, I don't know if you can see them, but these are my fuzzy ones. If I can figure out where they're from, I'll tag them. If you like, put some warm stuff on your feet. These things are wonderful. I know it sounds strange to put house shoes in the microwave, but I just put a towel underneath it. But anyway, back to subject. We don't. It's not the end of our womanhood. Our womanhood is just being redefined, and that redefining is based on how you react to it and what you do with it. Like going out and owning the fit, like Vic and Mindy. Those are the things that you do to redefine. What does it mean? Or does it mean that your life is over? No, it does not mean your life is over. It means your body is stabilizing in a new way. Our world is stabilizing in a new way. We're looking at it and thinking about it in a whole new way. So if my dogs are barking and I'm not sure. My husband's outside though, so if there's somebody at my door, they should get that. Anyway, back on subject again. So once we know what it is, the big question is, what does it feel like? What does it feel like for you? What does it feel like for me? Because for everybody, it's different and it's unique. But I really kind of want to get real about the physical side of menopause. Women understand that their bodies are not doing what is normal for them, for what they've known as normal. We realize that there's something changing, that there's things, especially ones that are in tune with their body. I'm very in tune with things with myself, so I will notice things that a lot of people don't. But you will notice the changes as you get older of the things that didn't bother you that will now bother you. And there's plenty of things. I was watching, I think it was, I don't know, it was some Netflix movie where it's a bunch of older people that were vacationing together, and Adam Sandler's in it, and all the people he normally has in his movies. I can't remember names right off the top of my head, but anyway, they're like running and getting leg cramps and all these kinds of, yeah, that's exactly how we feel. Our bone health, it is, because the estrogen is dropping, and I know I've mentioned this before, it affects the calcium absorption in our bodies, and we have a greater risk of osteoporosis at that point. So be aware of that, making sure that you are getting enough calcium in, even if you have to take calcium pills like me. I'm not really supposed to have a lot of dairy. Not supposed to have dairy at all. So, but I will take calcium. You know, the funny thing about calcium pills for me, now I can take them and they don't really bother me, but before, when I was just normal me, before any of this pause stuff, this storm took over my life, if I took calcium pills to try to preemptive for what was coming during the storm, they would cause me to have nightmares. It was the strangest thing. I don't know why they would cause me to have nightmares, but they surely did. So I didn't take them a whole lot, but now I can take them and I don't get those nightmares like I once did. Our heart health is really affected, even though that is one that it was one of those things that boggled my mind. Like, I had no idea that my heart health was directly related to my lack of hormones. My low estrogen, it can increase the cholesterol. So I started having my cholesterol levels elevate some, but now I've lost weight and I was able to get that back down. And your blood pressure can rise. And for some women, it just goes way out of control. I didn't have that issue. I've had more of an issue of my blood pressure dropping. And we never really kind of figured that out, other than I think it was a Skyrizi shot they were trying to give me to help me with my psoriatic arthritis and the psoriasis. But I unfortunately cannot take that. So we're going to regroup on that one, I reckon. The blood pressure issues, just in general. Most women have an elevated blood pressure, elevated cholesterol when this storm starts to hit and or is at the end of it. A lot of us have no idea that it's directly related to the fact that we allowed the hormone levels to drop and we didn't get them checked routinely because our doctors didn't tell us we needed to get them checked routinely. So if you are of the age of 30 to 50 something, please have them checked. Make sure you're having them checked by somebody who knows what they're doing and what they need to check for. Our metabolism pretty much comes to a stop. It starts to decline at like 25 to 30 for women. And then after you start having children, it gets even harder. But when the storm hits us, our weight shifts. I used to be kind of distributed all over, but it started then to just focus on my face and my belly. And I started to get that, that rounded middle belly that a lot of women who go through the storm end up with. The belly. It doesn't mean that you're fat, you don't care, you don't work out. Sometimes, depending on your makeup of your body, there is absolutely nothing you can do. You could go stand on a treadmill and walk 4 hours a day and still have that belly. You have to figure out what your metabolism barrier is and what is going to allow you to lose weight. Because for some women, going to do that type of exercise and or weights is not going to ever make them lose weight. They could just simply go out and do a 20-minute walk and lose more weight than overdoing it and creating stress and cortisol levels to rise in their body, which then creates the issue of metabolism being pushed down and you put on belly weight, even though you're not wanting the belly weight, you working out too much. You have to figure out where your balance is. Sometimes the trainers will know, sometimes they don't. You really need to try to find a trainer that is knowledgeable on females during menopause and or post-menopause to get the best results, in my opinion. Other lingering symptoms that we have, sleep trouble. I have the worst time sleeping. All my autoimmunes create a problem with that as well. So does the psoriatic arthritis. So I have all those things on top of this storm. So sometimes sleep for me is maybe 3 hours at night between 4 and 7 in the morning. It's aggravating. It's frustrating. I've been sleepless for years. They tried to tell me I have sleep apnea. I tried to wear that CPAP thing. Y'all, it's not for me. It makes my face itch and burn. I can't put that mask on. I've tried putting a barrier. I've tried putting powder. It didn't matter. Anyway, squirrel moment again. I don't recommend it, but you know, maybe I can get it to have the sleep apnea to where I don't have to use the machine. I know there's other ways, but that was not something I wanted to continue to do. It was not helping my sleep any like it was supposed to. I was constantly all night long pulling at that thing on my face because it was burning my skin. No matter which one I put on. I tried different masks and it didn't matter which one I put on. They all made me burn. So what can help? Walking. I've already mentioned that. Walking can help. Some low impact resistance training. That's just to keep the muscle tone or the muscle, because we will lose a lot of muscle as we get older. So the resistant training is really good for that. Even if you're just doing resistant bands. I have the vibration plate. The things that TikTok made us buy. I love it. I will absolutely be selling it on my TikTok as soon as I get my tail off my chair to do some recordings for it. But yes, the vibration plate, and you can use the resistant bands at the same time, is the same as me going out for 20 minutes on this vibration plate, is the same as me going out running 3 miles. The vibration that it does on the body, and it works all the muscles in your body, is the same equivalency, 20 minutes to running 3 miles. Why would I want to do anything other than jump on that vibration plate? Because I am not going to go outside. If you see me running, you better run too. I used to like to run. No, not my thing anymore. Nutrition. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. Nutrition is a thing. It is having great protein and the right proteins, making sure you have enough vitamin D, and making sure, again, on the calcium, that you're having enough calcium that's coming in. You can get calcium even from greens. Vitamin D, you can just take that. Make sure you're taking the vitamin D with vitamin K. The K actually helps distribute the vitamin D better throughout your body, whereas just taking a plain vitamin D is not going to do the work that it should, or you're looking to get. Making sure you're having your checkups, your yearly checkups with the doctor, whether it's a specialist that specializes in menopausal women, or if it is a primary care provider, if you're that comfortable with that person and you feel like they are knowledgeable and they're actually helping you and not just ignoring what's really going on with you. You probably need heart health checkups, any kind of scans, like I don't do the mammogram. I do, but I do the ultrasound mammogram. I don't do the one that smushes me like a pancake. Those just really aren't good for you, and I prefer not to do that. It's not comfortable, it's painful, and it's actually worse for you than if you just go and get the ultrasound scans. So I pay out of pocket a couple $100 a year to pay for that because the insurance doesn't pay for the ultrasound. But I'm fine with that. We have it here. They set up in Greensboro. It's called HerScan. If you are from the area and you want more information, let me know. I'll get it out to you. I'll give you the email at the end of the thing. So basically, our bodies are like, this is going to probably sound creepy, and hopefully no men are actually watching this, but our bodies are trading in tampons for calcium supplements, and nobody hands us a manual on how this is all supposed to work. Kind of like nobody gave us any idea, really, on how the monthly cycles work. So, no surprise that we don't know anything really on this either. But, it's not just our bones and our waistlines that change. It's our hearts, our minds, and the way that we see ourselves as women. It changes us completely on a level that until you go through it, you have no idea how to explain it to somebody. Like, you can't understand it until you've actually gone through it. You just can't. There's the emotional and mental side of it. I've kind of touched on this a few times already, how as during this storm, we are also, most of us, becoming having empty nest. The children are leaving the home. I had a brain fart. We have those too. A lot of them. I have to write myself notes and put things on my calendar, or I'm going to forget it, y'all. We, as women, I feel, and this is why I'm doing this, we should normalize the inner shifts, both the struggles and the strengths of it. Not only is the WDNC, We Do Not Care Club, amazing. That's promoting our strengths and talking about our struggles at the same time. Like, I love it. I love that community and those women that are normalizing that. I just can't speak highly enough about that. There's grief in this and the loss of our identity. Some women feel such a great loss. Like I said, they end up in depression and they become hermits. They don't want to socialize. Even if they don't want children around anymore or never really wanted children, and they still go through the storm, you still have that grief, that loss. You feel that loss of your identity as a woman. Like, you don't have to have been a mother to still be going through this same storm. Redefining our identity beyond mom, caregiver, partner, auntie, a bonus mom, whatever identity we had as a woman, we're having to redefine who we are. And it's so hard to do that. It's so tough. We don't want to speak on it to our friends because we think we're losing our minds, and we don't even know how to quite tell them exactly what we're feeling and what's going on anyway. But here's the thing, ladies. If we don't start talking about it, if we don't just go to our friends and say, hey, this is how I feel, this is what's been going on, what do I do with this? How do I handle this? We're not going to get answers. We're not going to be able to bounce things off of one another and have more of an understanding. What works for you may not work for me, but there's something you're doing that may work for me. Or I hadn't tried, so gosh, I'm willing to give anything a try if it's going to make me feel better. So let's talk about it. Let's have conversations. Let's put it out there. Let's make this an important conversation. Confidence, clarity in this whole situation. Many women say they care less about people's opinions. I would say that stage in life where the woman don't care anymore, and they have an increased awareness and self-acceptance, that is a woman to be both proud of and, I would say, supportive of, feared. Don't mess around with that type of woman, because they've got no holds barred. They're going to let you have it with both barrels. And they're not going to care. They're not going to care if your little feelings are hurt. They're not going to care if you like what they said or how they said it. They're going to say how they feel. I do understand that sometimes when people get in that position and they have that type of demeanor about them, that maybe, it could be handled in a little better way and not so just harsh. But, be warned when you do run into those women that get to that point and they feel that way and they got their cutoff game on, they're going to let you have it. So I would be very careful around those type of women. Mental health risk. Again, I've mentioned the depression and anxiety that comes with it. It can flare at any time when our hormones are shifting. My anxiety got a whole lot worse, I would say, during the storm. It's kind of leveled out now. I take hydroxyzine. I can't take any of the other things. I'm sure I've mentioned this in other episodes. They just make me feel loopy, like a zombie. I don't like it, but I do take the hydroxyzine. Sometimes, I don't know if I have a hormone shift or what happens, but sometimes I have to take more than one a day. But I do just take one a day at bedtime normally. But it is a real thing. Women will definitely go through depression and have more anxiety. A lot of it has to do with the grief and the loss of who they are and the identity they feel like they've lost, and they don't know where to go, where to turn. They feel like they have nobody to talk to because we've spent so many years being told we weren't supposed to talk about these things, and you just deal with it and you move on. Well, no. No more of that. I want to stop that. Some women isolate. Like I said, they become hermits. We feel like society has isolated us and we can't talk about it. So in that process of society telling us, shh, nobody needs to know about that. Nobody wants to know that you are going through menopause. Oh, how dare you talk about that out loud? My goodness, we shouldn't talk about that. Well, this is my don't care about it moment for you, because if you're one of these women and you still feel like it should be isolated, don't listen to this, because it's probably going to tick you off. I am not one to hold my tongue. I've always been one to have a voice. I've told you all that. I've had different stages in my life that I've had different stages of voice. This is one of those stages where I am more on the level of the WDNC. I don't care. I do, but I'm trying to say it in a nice way, in a professional way, in a way that's hopefully uplifting and encouraging. It's like one day we're crying over our commercials that are on the TV, if you still watch that, and the next you're snapping. I don't care what Karen thinks, I'm living my best life kind of attitude. That is where a lot of us end up. That is where a lot of us are at this point in our juncture of the storm, is we just, hey, it is what it is. I might cry over that commercial today. Tomorrow I may not. I might snap your head off today about you walking into the room when I'm doing this, and tomorrow I may be part of the WDNC, and I don't care that you did, and I'm like, laugh it off, and it's going to be an okay thing. We are a hot mess. It's a hot mess, and it's a whole thing. It really is. It's not just an emotional process, though, and that's the thing. It's a season for us women that wakes up something in our spirit that brings us to a whole nother part in our world and in our life. And for a lot of us, once you get to that point of, I really love the badass woman that I am. I love the strength that I have. I love the ability to live my life genuinely the way I want to and not care what anybody thinks. Like me doing this, the podcast. I am sure, absolutely, positively sure, there are people out there that are going, she's crazy. She's doing this for attention. She absolutely doesn't know what she's doing. I can't believe she would put herself out there like that. She's such a fake. Look at her trying to put on a podcast. She has no idea what she's doing. You know, all the things that people who aren't at my level are going to feel and say because they're jealous and they don't understand it. Well, guess what? Honey, I don't care. You don't have to understand what I'm doing. You can listen and learn, or you can move on. I don't care. I'm going to do this because I want to do this for the people around me. That's it. So the spiritual side of women reaching this point that I'm at, where I'm part of the we don't care, it brings it brings on like hope, meaning, and in depth in our life that I'm sorry. I thought somebody was knocking on my door. Anyway, it brings on faith as an anchor. Many women lean into prayer during this time, meditation. They get like a spiritual awakening. Scripture kind of makes sense in a different way than it did 10 years ago. It means something completely different now in the way we look and see how we're reading the scripture is completely different now than, the Joe I do with her. She's a friend of mine. She's about 15 years older than me or something like that. She and I do a Bible study. And in that Bible study, she always gets amazed at how I see things compared to how she sees things. And we're just in different levels in our life. She's further along in the season of life where she accepts her world as it is and she loves it than I am. And so I'm curious, in 10, 15 years, would when I go back to read the same scriptures, am I going to see them in a different light, kind of like she does? But anyway, we have that sense of change within us. With post-menopause, a lot of times it's often described as, we are often described as a wise woman. I would say that's how I would describe Jo, as a wise woman. She has a great amount of pride in what she does in her life, and some really sage advice that she passes along to me. And I mean, I absolutely am thrilled that I have her in my life, and that God has placed her in my life to have that type of person next to me. She's almost kind of like a bonus mom for me. Not that she's old enough to be my mom, but she's kind of got that wisdom about her. So there's a sense of freedom that we kind of get at this stage. There's no monthly cycles we got to plan life around. There's no, oh gosh, did I accidentally get pregnant? We have more mental space because we're not as so overwhelmed and crowded with the mental space that's usually absorbed by children, family, spouses, and all the things that we allow to take over our lives before we go through this storm. So all of that mental space is now free. The no cycles, the no worries. So it's kind of uplifting. It's like wow, this is really a great place to be. I can, once I get my hormones regulated, the idea of being able to enjoy my relations in a way that I don't have to worry about things, that's a whole new level. Just saying, ladies, it's a whole new level. This is one of my things. Many of us feel drawn to mentoring younger, to speaking our truths and stepping into leadership like this. Many of us feel like we have something to teach the world, to tell the world. And we like to speak on the fact that it's not ending, and it's just a sacred beginning for us. That our bodies are not slowing down in a spiritual way. They're just slowing down a little bit in a physical way, but we can keep on top of that. Our spirits can step up into its prime while we still maintain this temple that we walk around in. It is going to slow, but at the same time, that doesn't mean our minds and our spirits have to do that. So what are some kind of practical tips and resources that I can bestow upon you all? Journaling, I've mentioned this before. Journaling is really important. It's important to me. Along with my daily Bible studies, I do the journaling. However that journaling looks for you. Whether you're recording your voice, saying something and how your day has gone, whether you're writing it down in a book, whether you're putting it in the notes in your phone, whether you're typing it into Word on your computer, however that journaling looks for you. There are actually books out there, a couple of them that I've gotten off of the TikTok, about healing, childhood healing, and healing your inner child. Journaling is just really a great place to go when you don't necessarily have a place that you can go to talk to somebody. You can write down, what am I letting go of in this season of my life? What wisdom do I want to pass down to others? What I'm doing right here. How can I honor my body right now? What can I do in this season, this stage of my life to honor me and my body and my health, so that I can be here for a longer period of time for my children and my grandchildren and maybe even my great-grandchildren. Giving ourselves health reminders, making sure that we are doing our bone scans and cholesterol checks and, feminine checks for pelvic health and that kind of thing. Making sure that we're still being in tune with our bodies and knowing when to have things looked at, when not to have things looked at, and to have a sense of understanding. So if something does change, that could be a sign of something detrimental, to go look for it, or have them look for it. So being aware of that with your body at this point in time is very vital. Going to podcasts like this, joining women's circles. I hold one once a month. We took the summer off, but I hold one once a month in Greensboro that I have about anywhere from 5 to 10 women that will come, and we all just sit around and chit chat. Some of us will throw our business out there a little bit in the beginning. Sometimes I have somebody come in to talk to us, but for the most part, we're just a small women's group that gets together and we rely on one another. So find you a support group, find you a small women's circle that you can make for yourself, and or listen to podcasts. It is absolutely one of my favorite pastimes. My husband asked me today, what are you doing? Are you on your phone? Well, yeah, I'm listening to my podcast. I was like, I'm going to run into the Dollar Tree. I'll call you when I'm done. So anyway, breaking the silence by sharing what we're going through, talking about it on a podcast, talking about it in person, talking about it in a group, writing about it in your social medias, just bringing things up here or there that puts things out for the world to see. Just bringing it up, talking about it. Some kind of, I guess, some closing reflections on this. One of the key reminders that I have is that, and it's just kind of funny, but because we do feel like we're drying up, but we're not. My skin absorbs moisture like it's dying of thirst. It's crazy. I guess it's part of my season right now. My massage therapist and my daughter both were like, you your skin absorbs this quickly. And I put moisturizer on. I'm whatever. It's just, you're not drying up. You are just leveling up. Life is changing for you. Post-menopause is your season of wisdom and clarity. We have the freedom that we didn't have before. So learning to appreciate those things instead of being afraid of them is going to bring you more enjoyment and less depression and anxiety over it. Looking at it in a different light. You got to change your mindset, I guess, is what I'm saying. I've gone through the funk. I've been there a few times just trying to be like, this is so weird. I don't know what I'm doing. The world is strange to me at this point. I would love to hear y'all's stories. I do have my email, backporchconfessions@gmail.com. It's very simple. You can't get it wrong, or I wouldn't think so anyway. I want you to share with me what has your journey been like? What has your post-menopause journey been like? I would love to get a whole bunch of stories and come back on here and do a part 3 just to read some of those stories. I don't have to say your name. If you want me to say your name, I can, but I would just love to hear some of the stories that you ladies would have, even about other people around you, or your mother or your grandmother, or the things that they went through. Any stories would be pretty fantastic if you want to share them. You can also, it doesn't have to be stories like it. You can also include in there what you wish you'd known before all of this started happening. Like any of it, really. Just send me some stories. I'd like to know. Like, I wish I'd have known a lot of these things before. I wish I'd had someone like me that was just putting it out there for the world to know. But, here we are. It's 2025. It's time we talk about it and quit pushing it underneath the carpet like generational trauma. Anyway, I appreciate you all coming to sit with me today and listening to this bonus episode. I tried very hard to kind of keep it lightweight, and I know yesterday's episode that I recorded, or that came out yesterday anyway, that was a tough one on me, and I did a lot of pausing during the conversation. That one might have gone better had I had somebody else sitting with me, but it is what it is. I did it. It was tough. There was a lot of conversation on there where I had to admit things that I don't necessarily like to admit. But this is the season I'm in. So until next time, I want you guys to keep rocking these porch vibes for me and owning this chapter of your life, and understanding that this season does not mean that you are at the end of your womanhood, that you are just leveling up to a more freedom-filled prime of your life, that you can reach a different spiritual level, a different understanding of who you are, and just knowing that you're stepping into the new you. What an amazing feeling to know that you can go through the whole stage of mom, and when that peels away and you realize, okay, they're fine, they don't necessarily need me, and you step into the you that you are now. And some women make a whole career change. Just do you. Figure out who you are, what you want, what is going to fill your spirit. Know that you're not broken. Know that it's not the end of your world. You are still very much a woman, and you still very much count in this world. And you probably have a bigger voice now than you had before all of this. I want you to go find this. I'm on TikTok as well. Find me there if you want to ever come talk on a live setting for that. It's under Back Porch Confessions. You find me on YouTube, Back Porch Confessions with Barbara, I believe. And then Apple Podcast and Spotify all have the Back Porch Confessions, just as Back Porch Confessions. But I thank you all for coming. I hope this was a little more informational for you. And know that once you get through the storm, that you have something to look forward to while you're in it. And know that there's a side that you can look forward to. So I appreciate you being here again. Thank you very much. And until next week, I'll let you know what we're going to talk about. Maybe Angel J will be here. Thank you guys. Bye. That's a wrap on this episode of Back Porch Confessions, where the tea is hot, the stories are real, and we never apologize for keeping it honest. Produced and edited by the Magic Makers over at Zay Media. Until next time, keep your porch talk spicy and your secrets safe. Mostly.